Not to fear, we have a solution. A show where you can learn the art of dispute. Filmed under the glorious technicolor of rainbows and rifles. With a cast of teddy bears armed with switchblades. Where both the opinions and the adult beverages are strong. Tune in, turn on, and comment your giddy hearts out. We're going live in
3, 2, 1, action!
Welcome to the Art of Dispute, the only show where you can be friended and offended all in the same freaking hour.
That's right. We call it the zero to Nazi effect. You know what we're talking about? When you post your opinion or you say your unpopular opinion in any social setting, and boom, next thing you know, someone wants to go outside and burn your car to the ground.
That's how we roll in America these days. You know, we talk about everything on this show. We shy away from nothing, and we pour alcoholic beverages while we're doing it. What could go wrong? But with over 100 episodes, we've only had 7 fist fights and 1 knifing, so it's not bad.
A couple blade noses.
It's all right. Well, on today's show, we've got a really fun topic, and I think this is going to be a lively one because we've posed this question in our group page with over 6,000 members over there and over 15,000 comments a month. You guys should be in the group page if you all are in the group page, the Art of Dispute group on Facebook. But it's the show 24/7. I mean, we just have questions people post all the time. And this one was posted in the group, and there was a lot of good comments and traffic on it. And we have some questions or comments from some of our guests that we're going to read on the show today for you guys to address.
From our group members, yeah.
Yeah, from the group members. So today's topic is it possible for man to be moral if there is no creator? Without a creator, can we be moral? Yes or no? That's what we're going to be discussing today. But before we dive into this topic,
we got some guests to promote. That's their absorbent pay package is what you would put it as, right?
Yes, their absorbent pay package. That's right.
That's right.
Shameless self-promotion.
So what we'll have you guys do is just introduce yourself, tell us where to find you, and you know, tell us a little bit about yourself, if you want to go ahead.
My name is Amy Cummins, and I have been a police officer for 20 years, and I'm also an artist.
Thank you.
So,
for the police officer stuff.
And for the art.
Yeah.
But especially for the police work, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, and I'm very opinionated, so I look forward to
Where can people find your artwork?
Well, you can send me an email. That's kind of a work in progress for my website and Facebook page, but
do you have like an Instagram account or where you put your artwork or Facebook or anything?
Instagram and Facebook.
Okay, so what's the link?
Well, Amy Cummins. You can just find me on there.
Okay. Amy Cummins?
Yes.
Okay.
And then Must Love Dogs 71 on Instagram.
There we go.
Awesome.
And I will have it on the screen for everybody below so that they can find it. So we'll have it on the screen right now. It's literally on the screen right now.
He knows a guy.
I know a guy. So.
I think we've said that joke every show for 6 shows.
Right.
That's why I said it.
I know a guy. It beat me to my own punchline. It's so wrong. Yes, so it's on the screen. So support Amy and her artwork and
What's right behind you?
Yeah. Well, we have some on the wall, and I will actually have it on the screen. We'll have this picture up on the screen as well so that they can get... I took a picture of it, so that...
Awesome.
At some point, while we're talking now, I threw it up on the screen so you guys could get a better look at it. So, there we go, because I know a guy.
Yes.
All right, Patrick.
All right, Patrick Villarreal. I fix houses or remodel houses. My specialty is bathrooms. And you can find me through the group page and Patrick Villarreal on Facebook.
Very good. We'll have his personal profile link up on the page so you guys can track him down. That's excellent work.
Thanks for coming back.
Yeah, and a repeat offender. He's been on the show multiple times. Both these guys are veterans of the show, so...
I got kind of like drafted to be on today.
Yes.
To be on, and I'm kind of like, this is what I dress. But
you were released first round, you know.
I do photography, and I paint a little bit. I like architecture, and I do photographs of Houston. and environs. You can find my work at Virgil for You.
Virgil, the number
Yeah,
4.
I'm on Instagram. Yeah, I'll tell you. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and a few other places like photography pages. But you can Google me at Virgil, Virgil, for numeric U, uncle. You can find me at Art and Photography on Facebook. But if you Google Virgil C. Robinson, you'll find all my paintings and artwork web pages, because there's more than several.
I know the feeling.
You see a few of my photographs there, right there.
Okay, Virgil for You, and I will have those links up as well for everybody. All right, well, let's dive into this topic. It's going to be a doozy. I already have this feeling. So, just kind of give me a 1-minute bullet point. You know, what are your thoughts on the subject? Let's not debate each other yet. Let's just kind of get the groundwork laid here. What are your thoughts? Is it possible to be moral without a creator? If there is no God of any particular flavor, I'm not saying, you know, the God of Christianity or Islam or Thor, you know, whatever. It's just, without a God in general, a creator of man, is it possible to be moral? What are your thoughts, Virgil?
Of course. It's easy, but you have to have someone define the parameters of what's good and bad and right and wrong. But yes, it's possible. But again, you have to have rules, and you have to have someone to set those rules. It doesn't matter what level you're doing of it. Like, I'm going to plant that seed and see yes, it's possible, and we'll see where it goes.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
No, it's not possible. We need, like you said, a framework of what is good and what is bad, but where does that framework come from? Does it just come out of thin air? Does it come out of a book or several books or a painting? Where do the rules and the parameters come from for the good and the bad? I say without a God, without a higher authority, it is impossible to have morality.
All right.
My turn. I see kind of both sides, but I definitely believe that even though if you're atheist, you don't believe in a creator per se, that God or Allah or whatever, or what have you, you still know what's right and wrong, because we have, I believe as humans, we have an innate ability to, if you see a reaction, a negative reaction from someone that, okay, that hurt them, that hurt their feelings, or they, you see the pain, that, yeah, you can empathize with what they're feeling because of something you did. So, okay, that's wrong. That was not good. But we all have society has these rules, these morals that everyone should be following because the majority thinks that way. And if you don't follow those rules, then you're looked at as someone bad.
Sometimes they'll put you away.
Right. And so I think that ultimately it's put in our minds, but I by a lot of different things, not necessarily a creator, but because not everybody believes in that. I'm a Christian. I believe in God, and I believe that He's worked. Whenever I do something, I think, well, it doesn't really matter, and I think, oh yes, it does, because I believe that He says you do these things and you don't do these things. But I can also see that if you don't believe in a higher being, you can still be a good person. You can still do the right thing. Does that make sense?
I heard
Okay, so
You want one about one?
yeah. I'm like, who wants to go? I've got questions.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Oh yeah, Patrick.
No. After you.
After you. I got to be Patrick. Okay, so over time, we have, even as a society, we've said, and we talked about this earlier, was we've said certain things were okay, and now later in time we're like, okay, no, and we talked about slavery, how that was acceptable, and now that it's not. And so I guess my question for you would be, do you think that it's that set the basis, or do you think that we've over time learned that, hey, as a society, this is wrong because we've seen so much negative impact over that time? You kind of see where I'm coming at with that?
Phil and Derek's Restaurant and Jazz Bar, located in the midst of bustling Midtown in Houston. You'll find a laid-back atmosphere and an ambiance reminiscent of the comfort of your own living room, coupled with the flair, pizzazz, and glitz of live New York-style cabaret entertainment 7 nights a week. Phil and Derek's is not only the ideal restaurant with a great long-standing wine selection, but also with a full bar as well. Phil and Derek's stock and knowledge of wines from France, Spain, Argentina, and more, just to name a few, are the envy of wine connoisseurs far and wide. Phil and Derek's Sunday brunch was voted best morning after brunch for 3 consecutive years. Come indulge in the ample buffet of omelets, meats, various salads, $3 mimosa carafes, and much, much more. Enjoy delicious foods from the kitchen until midnight. We're equipped with large dining areas, ideal for groups up to 20 in size, whether business or pleasure. Come see all that Phil and Derek's has to offer.
I guess my question for you would be, do you think that it's that set the basis, or do you think that we've over time learned that, hey, as a society, this is wrong because we've seen so much negative impact over that time? You kind of see where I'm coming at with that?
Yeah, some people don't care about the negative impact.
Oh, I completely agree with you.
Some people don't care. So for some people, taking your property is perfectly fine because he's stronger than you. He can take it, and what are you going to do about it? He has no qualms about taking what's yours because now it's his. So the difference is when that person takes your stuff and the police show up, that person starts running because he knows it's wrong. He still knows it's wrong.
Maybe, because sometimes they just don't want to get caught because they did something bad. You brought up a good point, and you said people inherently know whether something's right or wrong. That's a good point, because this is what really resonated with me. You can see, even if you said people can see the reaction from others, that should be an indication that you did something bad. Okay, and I'm thinking of murder here because we were talking about setting the perimeters and the meter between good and bad, how we can measure that difference. Murder. Some people might say murder's okay, and we do condone murder, whether we want to say. Well,
we fast track it in here in
anyway,
Texas.
Well,
We condone killing. We don't condone murder. We condone killing, and there's a difference.
Point. Yeah. All right.
And see, some people don't care if they have offended you.
I want to say that people usually know what they've done right or wrong, but there are some
I think 90% of
so beyond help that they don't know, and they never had anyone teach them. And even if they, let's say they go and stab somebody, they don't feel bad about it, even though they see that person's expressions and then.
But see,
I have a question
what
for you
is
guys.
it? What is it in the person that says, "Oh, I hurt you. I know that's wrong." The part the second half, I know that's wrong. Where does that part come from? Where does that feeling come from?
I personally.
Your biological makeup, and whenever they start doing these things that are extreme, as in murdering or raping and doing all these things, that your mental health has a lot to do with not only it trumps morals, in my opinion, and everybody, I believe, has different levels of their moral compass is all different.
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of issue a challenging question on you do something, you see a reaction, and from that you can determine I've done something bad. So it's 1860, I'm in Mississippi, and I see a guy in shackles, and I say, "What did you do?" And he says, "Oh, nothing, I'm just black." And I'm like, "Well, that sucks. Let me help you out and get you freed up." and let's get you out of here, and let's get you up to the north where they're not this way, right? And then everyone around me goes, dude, you stole my property, right? Mm-hmm. So the reaction is bad, right? So how do I then gauge that I've done something wrong from that situation?
It depends on the... Murder's still murder, but Chris mentioned that. Things change, morals change over time. No, you had a good point. Part of this, we have to figure out or discuss how morals change over time. Because you mentioned slavery in the 18th, pre-antebellum. Mm-hmm. It was condoned, and it was part of the culture in the South especially. So are they wrong? Because it's institutionalized, and it's what they were taught, and they didn't know it. They didn't care because it was part of their culture, and they say, "Don't leave me alone." But
so I mean, I definitely have an opinion, but I don't want to. I mean, I'm happy to share, but I don't want to share just yet. Does truth change?
Yes.
No. No. At any point in time, let me ask you this, because this is a really simple one, right? At any point in time, no matter what somebody believes, no matter how passionately they believe it, is there ever a point where 2 + 2 equals anything other than 4?
Yes, because it's our own perception of what is the truth, or what is reality.
Does my perception impact truth? Does it change it? In other words, I could believe passionately with every fiber of my being. I mean, I'm out on the corner on the weekends. Yeah, the earth is flat. I could be out on the corner, with a sign trying to convince people 2 + 2 is 5, right? And no matter how passionate I am, does that actually alter 2 + 2 equals 4?
No.
Right. So my point that I'm trying to make is to segue now to a more complex version of that, is to say, is what is really moral and right the same as what is true? Does it get to change or alter simply because everybody in the South at one point believed that slavery was okay? Or if you're in Nazi Germany, that it was okay to kill the Jews because they were this inferior race that was, whatever reason they had for killing the Jews.
Well, see, to your point, I think truth is going to be universal. It's going to be this is the truth, and that's it. So if you have, in your example, a white person who is freeing a black person and feels that he's doing right, and then you have another white person who comes by and says, that's my property and you're doing wrong. Well, one of them is right and one of them is wrong. They both can't be right and they both can't be wrong. So there is a truth in there that this man is free and he should be free, or he's not. Now, obviously, my belief and our laws are that everyone should be free in this country, right?
Sure.
Now, at the same time, there are people in this city, in this world, who believe that it's still okay to have slaves. Different kinds of slaves, work slaves and sex slaves and all kinds of slaves. It is wrong. Period, end of story. Those other people would disagree. But someone's right and someone's wrong with it.
Are you talking about bankers?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hey, you know that
Slave to
mortgage.
debt.
You know that mortgage is a French word that means until death.
Oh.
That's just bad. Like, golly.
I'm supporting your opinion.
Yeah,
over here.
I know.
So this is kind of what I'm getting at, right? So if truth is true regardless of perception, right? We may operate a certain way because of our perception, but that doesn't make our mode of operation right. Similarly, with morality, we can believe that we're being moral, but how is it really objective? How does anyone really know if their perception of what is moral is right. Just because a large group of people believe a certain way.
They're able of empathy.
Right?
See, that's why I point to, instead of how you feel or how someone else feels, that's why I point to a higher authority. If there is a higher authority, he or she has outlined these things for us. I mean, my parents taught me right from wrong, but they learned it from someone else.
I like it.
And they learned it from someone else. And if you keep going back, there was someone who was the first one.
They have a list of rules to go by.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
and see, that's my point. That's the parameter. That's the box that says this is a moral thing, and the other things are not moral.
I'm one of those people who was reared to know the difference between right and wrong, and it's easy for me. I don't feel right doing bad things, and according to our Christian-based society, I know.
So your parents taught you right and wrong.
Yeah, but I'm an unbeliever. I am not a
they
Christian. They sent it to Minamyer.
Okay, so where did the Mennonites learn it from?
A list of rules that goes back.
And where did the list of rules?
I like where he's going. Come on.
Oh, come on. That's like
He's leading you if you don't know.
Yes.
Getting back to your point, Joe, I was comparing what you said and what we all said here, and knowing what's right and wrong and whether things change and transcend over time. Good and bad don't change, but in this, I'm going to use a big word here. We talked about this. We are living in a 1984 Orwellian world. And the way things are presented, we know the difference. A good person with good values knows the difference between right and wrong. But we have people on camera every day coming before us making a mockery and lying to us like every 5 minutes. It just happens. And we know the difference, and we even accept it now.
I
mean, fight it. I don't
of all things, we agree on that for sure.
I have the hardest time agreeing with Joe about this creator thing because I mean, and it's really hard to. I think it's really hard to debate this one because when it comes back to where did our morals come from? I mean, like the oldest text that we can find is the Bible, and then into. I mean, I believe, right? I mean, I lean on you for that.
There are older texts. There are older texts. But you have to understand that while there are older texts, you have to go back to how humans translated knowledge. Then that was oral tradition. So if you go back through oral tradition and that sort of thing, then Judaism, and that's way back. But
tell me if I'm wrong, though. I think that most religions, if not all, have some sort of outline of what is good behavior and what is bad behavior. Am I wrong?
And there's, absolutely. No, and there's a great similarity amongst them all.
Right.
So
where did
it's an interesting, we have to take a break.
I do.
We have to take a break.
I want to say one thing before we go to break.
We've got 30 seconds. Go on.
Okay. So real quick, if we're talking about the black and white form 4 equals, or 2 and 2 equals 4, then if we call a number is a person in that aspect, right? Okay. So some people are not, the way you put it, biologically wired, able to receive empathy. So are they mentally ill? And our issue is not that most everybody has empathy, but the ones that are mentally ill do not. Does that make sense?
That makes sense, and we'll answer that question when we come back from the break.
Love it.
Do you suffer from chronic back pain? There is a solution to the suffering. The Body Mechanics, an orthopedic and medical massage-focused practice that specializes in helping clients work through and overcome musculoskeletal injuries and chronic pain. By applying our science-based concepts through the art of massage therapy techniques, we can help you eliminate that pain. At The Body Mechanics, we take it as our responsibility to provide our clients with the highest level of care. We take time to get to know you, your history, and your obstacles, and most importantly, your wellness goals. We help you meet your goals through skillfully applied advanced massage therapy techniques and recommending self-care routines to improve overall well-being. Come in today and let the body mechanics apply our years of training and expertise to soothe away your aches. Mention this ad and receive our functional movement assessment for free, a $35 savings.
All right, welcome back to the show. We've got like some serious, great conversation going on. Chris, you were asking a big question before the break.
Yeah.
And you know, we have like the group page blowing up. We put the links to the page on the show all the time. You guys want to hop over to the group page. Over 6,000 members, 15 to 20,000 comments happening every month. It's crazy, and there's a lot of great dialogue. It's Facebook without the insults, if you can imagine such a thing. Like, I literally don't like to debate or talk with anybody outside of our group anymore because it's just such a pain. Like, people turn into immature childs at the drop of a hat, you know? And it's like,
They think you're the enemy.
I disagree with you, so you're a libtard moron. Whatever. Insert your insult. So we don't have any of that in the group page. It's just awesome. It's phenomenal. And so we've got some great comments on this subject from the group page. And we always like to toss in a few of those. So I want to give you guys, I know Chris had a comment here that we have selected from the group.
Let me switch comments.
Read Sheridan's comment.
I'll go with Sheridan's, and Sheridan's a moderator on our page, and we appreciate all your hard work, Sheridan. I know I do because she's on my side. Sheridan says, I think it can be explained with neurology. We learn about what is socially acceptable, and we learn to respond to the emotions of others and develop the capacity for empathy. Imagine feeling what they feel.
So that's a great question, and we kind of touched on that a little bit earlier about how we can tell if we've done something bad and that sort of thing. I want to build on that with Ken's comment because the two are actually pretty closely related, and this is kind of where Chris was leading, and she kind of hints at it. Ken Turner on the page said, morality evolved along with life in general over time. Humans are a social species. Our societies survive and advance via cooperation. If you steal my car, I and others develop a sense that you are not one to be trusted. Trust being essential to cooperation. Also, allowing theft would be detrimental to the advancement as the incentive to produce would be greatly diminished.
I'm glad you had a little mess up on that.
I'm also glad that he pointed it out.
We switched because I was looking at like, oh no, I'm not reading that.
It was a lengthy comment. So what are y'all thoughts about this? You know, especially to you, Patrick, but you know, because both of them are saying, in essence, the earlier comment that we kind of touched on was that you can perceive the empathy aspect of it. You can perceive when you're doing wrong. Ken is kind of saying through evolution and just society advancing, that sort of thing, that, you know, hey, stealing, if you steal our car, as a society, we were like, hey, you're not playing along with the team here, and you're not really a benefit, so you get ostracized. Now you're outside of the tribe, and you got to figure out how to eat and everything else on your own. And so through that process, morality has evolved.
Good point.
Right? So, you know, I'm going to give it to you, but then you guys chime in on that.
No. Hitler
Linda, you're not listening to me.
I'm not listening. Hitler believed that he was trying to make a perfect race, trying to eliminate the Jews and to have a master race and a perfect race. He believed in it to his core. He sent out his generals to exterminate the Jews. He had no problem doing that. Okay, so then when we hear about this kind of thing and the war and all of that, we join in. Now, we didn't know about the extermination plot at the time, but because of Japan bombing us and people declaring war on each other, we got into the war and we went to the defense of people who were being attacked, because we recognized also that being attacked is not right and it's not moral. But still, where did that come from? We all knew that Hitler was wrong, and that his axis of powers were wrong. But where did we get the idea that what they were doing were wrong? We still haven't reached that point to find where the rules of the morality come from.
Okay. Hitler and the majority of the Germany thought they were doing the right thing. They had one mindset. Society, like the rest of us, the outside, had to take. Well, Ken indicated that society or the masses will make sure that we take care of those problems that we have, and
there's a lot of Germans who didn't want to go to
SS,
war.
Well,
Yeah,
they had their point.
Nazi.
We took care of that. Well, our ancestors, the United States, Europe.
Yeah,
So, but let me ask.
Axis took care of that. Made sure.
Let me ask. I believe it was divine intervention, but Germany very well could have won the war. Had Hitler not overridden his generals and insisted on invading Germany and creating a war on multiple fronts. I mean, invading Russia. Sorry.
Yeah, in the winter, he wasn't ready for a Russian winter.
That was an accident.
He created a war on two fronts. His generals were absolutely opposed to it. Up to that point, they were dominating. I mean, it wasn't even close. They were just cleaning the map, right?
Yeah. He made a strategic mistake by declaring war on too many people at one time.
The same thing
Right.
happened
And
with Napoleon, but
if he had, he would have been strong enough to win.
So exactly. So my point is, had Hitler not been the little tyrant that he was,
Do you mean that he's mentally
Touched in the head?
unstable?
yeah, he was
Yeah.
so sick.
right?
Back to
Had,
the point.
had he not been touched in the head and let his generals run the war rather than him, Germany would have been telling history, and the extermination of the Jews would have been the right thing.
Oh. Yeah, it's hard to stomach.
I disagree with that,
Right.
but I'm saying on your argument, based on your argument, I'm saying you're saying, well, the rest of society stepped in and stopped him, and that's like what made it right.
Wait, right to end the war?
No, I'm saying again, we're talking about morality. So in this argument, in essence, the argument you're making, or at least my perception of your argument that you're making through this point, is that might makes right, because
In that case, yeah.
So at least I make sure I got your argument
no,
right.
it doesn't.
So it's like, but no, it doesn't. That's my point. Is that it just with the luck of chance of history, they lost. Now I believe that there was divine intervention in that process as to why they lost, but
I believe it was mental illness.
just with a little switch, the story could have been being told by the Germans, and history could have been entirely different. And I would still be saying the annihilation of the Jews was horribly wrong.
Exactly. And how do we know, even if Germany had won, how would we know right here that exterminating the Jews was wrong?
God fund's going off the hook.
I know. People are calling in.
Instead of continuing to ask the question, I'm going to say it. Because we know that it was wrong to do that, because we have a script, a book, a list of rules of right and wrong that was given to us from God on high.
You don't have to have all that. You can see it on the
and
expressions
through
on their faces when
And
they're,
different.
No,
But
easy.
some people, like Hitler, did not have empathy for these people.
Well, a lot of the German soldiers didn't have
okay.
The
empathy.
Nazis.
German soldiers, Heimlich, whatever his name.
It was just like clocking in at work. I mean, like 9 to 5. You know,
They
like
didn't care.
there we go. Exterminate a couple of thousand Jews. No big deal.
They didn't care.
Right?
If you read the history on
I'm so glad you said this. I'm sorry. I've been trying to, I gotta get her in this.
read the history on Hitler, when he was younger, if I have this correct, he was an artist as well, but he was not accepted in just one school.
And that's what made him go local.
Yes.
Sorry.
So from the get-go, he was mentally ill, and so no matter what he's doing, his moral compass, I believe, is going to be off. But then how do you get so many other people to follow that sickness?
How do we know his moral compass was off?
we can say it's mental illness, but at the end of the day, who are we? Who is anyone? If there's 10,000 people over here saying he's mentally ill and he's got it all wrong and he's doing it wrong, so what? Who are those 10,000 people?
Right.
What's their authority? They're just another person. They're just another group.
I think it's possible that 10,000 people in this world believe that Hitler was right.
Oh, I'm sure.
I believe
Oh,
that.
So then, which 10,000 are we supposed to listen to?
Right. Which
Without the
group
guideline
makes,
and the framework
right.
that has been given to us from God on high.
Even you guys said, though, that there is another text before
Oh yeah, many.
the
Right.
one of the Bible that is put the more.
I accept that.
The oldest law code in history is called the Law Code of Hammurabi. That's the first existence of a code of laws. Written
A list
laws.
of morals,
Similar to
moral right and
Above
wrong.
the
A list of
law.
right and wrong, right?
Similar to penal codes, yes.
And it was a government.
A governmental.
Okay.
The
kind of-
B-52s wrote a song about it called
Did they really?
Hannibal Wrote Down the Law. I know everybody knows that song.
Now this is a list of laws like a penal
B-52s,
code law.
Hannibal.
Yeah.
Is that right? This
Yeah.
was okay. So where did they get the
Again, I was just going to say, again,
again?
they wrote it
again.
down. It was a government. I think that there's a point where government, or whatever you want to call it, a society, says we have these set of rules that just from a sheer functioning standpoint, this works, this doesn't work.
Right.
And I think that is easy to come by as a society. This over time, right?
Right.
And so I certainly will concede that point, right? My question, posing this on the show, kind of transcends that. It's like on a functional level, I don't disagree. I think on a functional level, society can come up with a set of rules to play by, right? My point is, what if you run into another society that has an entirely separate set of rules, and all their rules completely contradict yours, and it works for them, and they're like, oh no, over here, we steal any car that's left unlocked, your bike is gone, whatever.
I kind of brought
My
that
point
up.
is
Great.
to say, who are you or any society to say that this set of rules is the right one?
Or I can marry this 9-year-old in this country,
Right.
but over here
It's bad.
Yes.
It's bad. So that's my point, is to say, how do you come up with an objective, not subjective, objective set of rules if there is no authority higher than man?
I would say through government.
There's no way.
There is no right answer.
Well, you have to
wrong answer,
you have to have organization, and you kind of like figure out
You know better,
like
you do better.
said, what works and what doesn't, and then after a while, you have a list of codes and morals that society could build on.
Could we agree?
Again,
that
though,
we're
what I'm
all
saying
flawed?
is
you
you
can
have
do it- you can
society
do
A
it
and
with-
society B if they have
It
two
can be done
composing rules.
without
Right.
divine intervention or any kind of big creator type.
Where I was going with my there is no is we created God, therefore we created morals.
That's my opinion. We're both non-believers. I think.
I mean, I'm just
these
opposing
three
that. So
believers.
we created a God
But that
that
is-
is in our likeness because of we worship ourselves.
Yeah.
And
But how does that answer the question?
it's
Is your answer then that there is no objective authority?
My answer
There
would
is
be
no right
that,
or wrong?
Yes. Honestly, there is no right or wrong until somebody else feels wrong.
Oh.
Because.
But on
So
what
like
basis
this-
do they get to feel wrong?
Oh, well, host after host, here we go. We need a whole nother show. No, okay, so to put it in another way, if we didn't come up with a construct of, hey, this is a God and he's in our likeness because we have these set rules that we've developed over time of our society, like this is what people will not. This is what we'll get outcasted for, right? So we're going to take that and we're going to put it into look, there's somebody watching you. And we're going to control you because there's somebody up there. You know what I'm saying? There's somebody watching you. That's how we're going to do this.
The Creator creates the created.
The creator
The Creator creates the created.
The Creator created the Creator.
which
That's-
means that the creator
Which
creates
came
the
first,
created,
the chicken or the
which
egg?
means that, as an example, if we see a car in a field, and there's every part of that car comes from the natural earth. There's metal, there's rubber, there's paint, pigments, leather. It's all coming from some aspect of the earth. We all would agree and know that that car didn't form itself in the field. We would know that somebody put it there. We would know that someone, an engineer, designed the engine, the axle, and everything else. We know that someone smarter than the car created the car. So that's why I say the creator creates the created. The car was created, someone smarter than the car created the creation. In the same way,
Yeah, okay. I see where you're getting at.
in the same way, God created us in his image. And from there, if we can see and accept that, then we can recognize that he also gave us guidelines in our life, gave us a structure and a framework for how we live our life, what we should do and what we should not do. And that's it.
All right. Yeah.
He agreed.
Yeah.
No questions.
I do agree with that. I mean,
Respond to your comment about two societies that are polar opposites.
Okay, sure.
Well, you know what happens? It doesn't matter whether one is more morally right or wrong. By our definition, you know who's going to win? The one with the most power.
yeah.
History is written by the victors.
Oh, you are just playing into his point.
But
But my response to that is, yeah, while my examples are extreme, you helped me out. You pointed out that there are societies where marrying a 9-year-old girl is fine, right? And that we go, oh my God, that's terrible. How could you, right? So my point is
100
that
years ago, it was normal,
yeah,
too.
maybe my example is a bad example, but my point is that it happens throughout the world. There's things where one society says this is immoral, and another society says it's moral. And without an opinion above either of those societies, there's no way for us to say what is or isn't right or wrong.
Oh, I can't believe I'm hearing that from you. oh.
Don't even say
you,
it.
Judge.
Last hour.
Thank you. But one
Why? But why is that?
It's easy.
I really
it's
want to
so
hear from you.
easy.
You haven't
But one
spoken
thing
word.
we're all doing here is agreeing to
just
disagree
taking
in
it all
such
in.
a
Yes.
really, really good way. And I totally disagree with you, Patrick, and you know that.
and
But
it's
we're being
okay.
so civil and
You don't
nice
have to
about
be
it.
He did. He tried to knife him in the
Y'all didn't see break.
he tried to gank him during the break. I mean,
It's okay,
We took
you
his
don't
shift.
It's
See,
easy
that's
for
all
me.
right.
It's
It's
easy.
okay. It's okay. You don't have to believe in God because he still believes in you.
Oh, there he comes
Let
with that.
him.
You know, I mean, that is the point. To Virgil's point, it is a great point. We are literally in the last minute of the show, right? And we have talked about religion and morality
And murder.
and murder
And
while
child
drinking
brides.
alcoholic beverages,
Cheers, y'all.
and yet still had a very polite, civil, and it wasn't a fake. I want to point this out. We had a for real conversation, not shying away from answers, not just giving the fake. Well, like, no, I feel that I feel that you feel that way, and
Going
I
straight into
respect it.
insults.
Right? No, it's just no. I disagree with you, and here's why. America, we can do this on a regular basis. Quit being jerks to each other, and let's talk about all the really important stuff. Closing thoughts. Did anybody change your mind? Let's take it home.
It broadened my perspective, which is what I came here. I actually came to watch, but yeah, being here was good. Cheers.
Cheers.
I have felt the same since as long as I can remember.
The dawn of time.
Since God wove me in my mother's womb.
Yeah.
So I haven't changed my mind, but I can see and appreciate a little bit more that we can disagree agreeably.
I pretty much am the same on, as I was whenever I started the show. I think that mental health, because my background is in psychology,
Oh, cool.
and 20 years in law enforcement has taught me a lot about people, and also having traumatic experiences in my life. they at that time that were violating me felt that that was the right thing to do. So I think that mental illness touches so many people and touches so many things that it's really hard to gauge on people's morale.
Is that God's will?
morality
That mental
and-
illness stuff? Sorry.
That's a whole other show.
But, you know, also, I think that the man above does give us guidelines, and humans, as we're all flawed, tend to go our own little ways
I love
and
this.
believe what feels good to us, then that's moral, then that's, you know, up here. But if it doesn't feel good to us, but to someone else, then, you know, that's where you're going to have the differences. And absolutely nowadays you have to have laws, you have to have these guidelines in place to keep people
Killing each other.
without doing this.
They have to behave. If they don't, they have to go away.
To keep the
And
Facebook
then
world
a
at
lot of
bay.
times that's why churches, a lot of people believe that churches were created to keep people in line.
I mean, that's where I stand. But yeah.
Well, there's
there's that aspect.
all right, we've just wrapped up the show with like 3 more subjects at the end of the show.
Okay, let's get
We
started.
gotta take it home. That's another great show in the can. We will be back next week. Make sure to support our sponsors, the Grain Cellar out in Humble. Thank you for all the great booze for the show. We love you guys and all the wild different drinks we've had. We'll see you guys next week. Another great subject. We're out.